Forged from Iron is proud to support Iron Supporting Food Banks. They are a group of West Ham United fans and friends inspired by the work of other football fan food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations from Newham Food Bank in Beckton, who supply 7 distribution centres in the borough, 7 days a week, and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children in the Newham community. They are supported in their efforts by West Ham United Football Club, the WHU Foundation, LS185, London Legacy Development Corporation, Newham Council, the Met Police, Spire London East Hospital, Expedient Security, and a large number of West Ham and football fans. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page. You will find the link to this in the description section of the video details in this stream. Thank you for your support. Come on, you Irons. Good morning. Welcome to Forged from Iron. Please don't forget to like, comment on, and share this stream to your social media platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so already, and make sure you hit the bell icon for alerts on new content. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you very much indeed for your support in this matter. We are here to discuss Matchday 27 of 38 in the Premier League. It's been a while. West Ham United taking on relegation rivals. I can't believe I'm saying that. Relegation rivals. If you'd have said that to me in the summer, relegation rivals. Now, we're not going to be involved in a relegation battle, Duke. We've just finished 7th in the Premier League. We've qualified for Europe second time in a row. We've spent 180 million quid. And here we are in a relegation 6-pointer against Southampton. It's ridiculous, isn't it? You're on mute, old chum.
Cut that out. Sorry.
Yeah, we can edit it out. It's fine.
No, what I was saying was it's not, Rob, it's not surprising. It's not that kind of inconceivable notion that everyone's had. It's more the fact that 2022 as a calendar year was piss poor, shocking, awful, call it what you will. So the last 5 months of 2022 last season were dog shit. So there was nothing for me to have that we were going to be any different come the start of this season. So for me, there is, if I'm honest, there is no real surprise that we've started this season and continued this season much like we finished the last 4 months of last season. It's not. It really isn't a surprise for me that we're having as a shocking season as we are.
Well, like I say, I'm like, I can't believe that this is come to this, that we're 11 games to go, or once this game's over, it'll be 11 games to go. And it's not inconceivable. We could be bottom of the Premier League if it goes tits up after this game's concluded.
Yep.
I mean, and I don't really see, I don't know about you, I don't really see that if that comes to pass, I don't really see any way back. Because all these stories that we're hearing in the last week about this schism that seems to be there very obviously between David Moyes and his coaches all of the noises that I'm hearing, it's just like, this is not a happy camp, mate. And once you start getting that sort of shit leaking out, the writing's on the wall for me. There's only one way you're heading, and that's down the gurgler.
Well, I think the thing is they bought a lot of it on themselves, Rob, as a club. The way I've been looking at it, this could have all been avoided if action had been taken back in December. Leicester game, we were there. It was poor. It was awful. It could have all been avoided, and we I won't say would have been patting the club on, the board on the back for doing the job. What we would have been doing is we would have been saying at least they reacted when they needed to react. And if they'd sacked him and we got someone new in, the 6 weeks over the World Cup break and then a transfer window, then there would have been a slightly different scenario going on. It would have been a slightly different situation for us, in my opinion. As it is, you've got the board not willing to act for whatever reason. You've got a manager refusing to listen to advice from his coaches.
Oh, shit.
I'm not. No, I'm not. We've got a coach. I'm not. No.
You seeing this? You see?
In fact, you know what?
He's not. He's done a runner. He's done a runner. Oh my word. Well, that's thrown the cat amongst the pigeons, isn't it? Oh my word. What can you do? What can you do? We're stuck with him for another 3 years then, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, why, Lawrence? Why? Why did you have to do that? Why couldn't you have just played along? Why couldn't you have just played along? I was gonna have some fun with this, Lawrence. Oh, yeah, get back in here, you. Don't you leave me hanging. We discussed this before we went live. All right, I'll remove it then. There you go. Is that better? Is that better? You put your bottom lip back in now. Yes. Honestly, Lawrence, I was gonna get a little bit of mileage out of it. I mean, there might have been some people that might have been asleep at the switch. You're obviously awake and you realise what day of the week it is, but there might have been a few people out there that might have fallen for it. Oh, I don't believe it. Stitched up. Morning, Milesy. Hope you're well. Honestly, I could have. Oh, won't come back. I don't believe him. He's behave yourself. Behave yourself. Get yourself back in here. Get yourself back in here. I'm not talking to myself. Well, or not just myself, but the people in the live chat. Anyway, just to bring to your attention, and I'm sure you 13 are watching this live, and anybody that comes along subsequently. See, there he is. Look, he's recovered. He's gone. He's had his therapy session on the couch. On the ticker at the bottom, and I'm sure you guys have been involved in the West Ham Network's 24-hour marathon. Jesus Christ, honestly, those boys, they must be sort of like living on Red Bull and coffee. Absolutely brilliant effort they're doing. I take my hat off to them, and I'm very, very honoured and privileged to play a small part in that particular endeavour last night. And yeah, you've got it's in the sort of like the live chat. I've put the link. If we could make a difference, I mean, we've had 2 weeks of no football, and that is an absolutely a large amount of time that nobody's going to London Stadium. No one's putting money in the buckets that are there. It's huge, and if we can just sort of in this month of April, because you look at all of the fixtures, if you include the under-18s semi-final that's taking place at London Stadium on Thursday. You've got the Newcastle game Wednesday. You've got the game on Sunday. You've got, 9 games, I think it is, in the month of April. You're talking, I mean, what, £500,000? If everybody brought a quid and then it got... And then
6 home games, isn't it? 6 home games.
Yeah.
I reckon. That. I think the guys over at Network worked it out that there'll probably be about 345,000 fans in and around the London Stadium over the course of those 6 home games, because you've got the FA Cup, semi-final for the under 18s. In fact, I do believe Russ is actually over on the network at the moment interviewing. Is it
Mark
Mark
Phillips.
Phillips?
Yeah.
I kind of caught a little bit of that before we went live. I think they're working. Is it with the His charity?
Yes.
For every
Turns every
pound.
five fiver, isn't it?
Well, they've said for every pound that gets donated, they will turn it into £5 worth of food. So, I mean, listen, it's a great cause. I've been over there. I've always dumped a few quid in the bucket. I got myself a little beanie hat. I don't know where it's gone. Got myself a little beanie hat. I know you've got the hoodie.
Yep.
It's a great cause to support. Especially in this day and age. And they're not asking for the world, guys. They're literally just asking for a quid. You spend more on a cup of coffee or a cup of tea in the mornings when on your way to work at the train stations or whatever. So, for the sake of a quid, I think it's a fantastic campaign that they're doing. But no, back to tomorrow, Rob, and what I was saying before you decided to
Have a bit of fun.
No, be a wanker. That's what I said.
All right.
Was it's a colossal downfall as part of the club. I personally think that it's taken a lot longer for all this shit to start spilling into the press, because for those that are watching that probably haven't seen it, nip over to Claret and Booze after this or after 5 o'clock today when the boys have finished over on network, and have a little butcher's one of the videos that Nick did, and he talks about some information that he was given, and it's again, it doesn't surprise me that the players, the coaches, the backroom staff, all the rest of it have decided, you know what, enough's enough of this bollocks. The geezer is akin to Putin right now with his behaviour. The way it's my way or the highway. He's a dictator, Rob. As far as I'm concerned, that's the way Moyes is acting right now. We put him, Mark Noble, into a position that should, for all intents and purposes, his role should be above the manager and below the boardroom, if you know what I mean. He should be responsible for, I'd say, about 95% of the goings on at the club. But that's what a sporting director, manager, that's their job. Yet Moyes has such an ironclad contract that the board gave him that doesn't permit anyone to make decisions above Moyes apart from the board. And even then, on the playing side, no one above Moyes. So, he's a dictator at the moment. He's a bully. We've seen that with certain players. Benny agreed, Steve. With Benny towards the end of last season, the start of this. Skamaka now, looking forlorn like he was, sat on a fucking stool, I think, on the dugout the other week, and it's just not a good place to be. Now, he could be, and I say this, I suppose, a little bit tongue in cheek, but also not so much when you consider the likes of Lou Macari and those that have come before him, Avram Grant. Moyes could be one of the most hated managers in this club's history, just for his behaviour, and be one of the only few managers that have won us a fucking trophy at the end of the season.
Yeah, crazy, isn't it?
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I'll be honest. I'm confident we're going to stay up. I'm confident we're going to win the Conference League, but I don't think that's going to have anything to do with Moyes. More the fact that it's going to have to do with the players.
Yeah, I mean, we were discussing it yesterday on the big debate show that we did on West Ham Network, and basically, yeah, you're right. He isn't, in the true definition of the job description, he is not a sporting director.
No.
He is an ambassador. He's been given a role at the club that is really purely ceremonial.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
That's it. It's a ceremonial role. It's like the Lord Mayor of London. The Lord Mayor of London comes out with the fucking chain and all the rest of it, in the carriages and all the rest of it. He wields no real power The Mayor of London, obviously Sadiq Khan and people like that, they have power. But the Lord Mayor of London
Doesn't know what to do with
it's
it,
a
though, by the way.
ceremonial role. Well, that's another
That's not for our
discussion.
That's not for
we're
our
not going to go down that rabbit hole, old son, because there'll be people out there who will be thinking, "I think he's doing a great job, thank you very much," and then there'll be someone else that will go, "I think he's fucking shit," and then it all just starts kicking off. You know what happens when we start talking politics.
I'll be honest with you, though, Rob. Back to tomorrow. I've said it on a few videos now with you and with Andy and Steve when I do the other videos, the full-time videos with them, or the extra time. Sorry. All we have to do, and it's quite, it's true.
Nearly spat out your water
There was
there,
a joke
Andy.
there. There was a joke there, and I'm realising it's not even 11 o'clock on a Saturday morning. I'm not doing it.
Oh, fuck it. Go on.
I was going to say, lucky he's going to be hanging out of his arse, and no one else is going to be hanging out of his arse. Enough. See, I didn't want to do it. You've made me do it.
Didn't have a gun at your head.
Right, going into tomorrow's game. Right, let me just quickly do something because I need to look. So we're going in, obviously, to tomorrow's game, and we conceivably could be bottom or second from bottom, whatever the case may be. And I'm looking at today's fixtures, and I'm going, okay, Bournemouth, Fulham. Fulham, we need Fulham to win that. There's no two ways about it. Forest, Wolves, well, I'd love a draw. Palace, Leicester, well, I'd love a draw. Arsenal, Leeds, you've got to ask for an Arsenal win now. And then you've got Everton, Tottenham, obviously, Monday night. You've as much as it,
it's horrible, isn't
it? As much as it makes
horrible.
Me feel ill, right? As much as it makes me feel ill, we need Tottenham to win that, right? I'll get that out of my system now. And then we're looking at us, right? Now, conceivably...
She's having a kip, Steve.
Yeah, stop bloody mentioning the dog, Steve. For fuck's sake. So, thinking about it, if Fulham beat Bournemouth, which is inconceivable, which should happen, and then if one of the four, or two of the four, Forest, Wolves, Palace, Leicester, pick up 3 points, it is what it is. If Arsenal should beat Leeds, are Leeds down there with us? They are, aren't they?
Yeah.
They are. There's eight other teams other than us.
Leeds
all we need to do,
14th.
right? If Bournemouth lose, Forest lose, Leicester lose, Leeds lose, Southampton, we draw or beat Southampton, and Everton beat Tottenham. Well, even if we draw and all the other games go in our favour, there's only two teams out of that are going to win, and we pick up a point. Well, we've picked up. We've shut up out there. We've done better as a point. We're a point better than 6 other of our relegation rivals, right? So that a draw based on the fact that if 6 other teams lose tomorrow, that's a good result for us.
For the simple he's got fact, a punditry gig.
He is. I knew that. So a point for us and 6 other of our relegation rivals lose and 2 win. You know what? That's still a good weekend for us because we've got a better result. My argument has always been, and has been for the last few weeks now, as long as we get a better result than 3 of the other 8 teams around us in that bottom 9 that could conceivably go down, right? As long as we get a better result than 3, even if it's a point to their defeat, it's still a better result. It's not perfect, it's not great, but it's still a better result. We either put a point extra gap between us and those below us, or we close the gap a point on those that are above us. It's still a better result, and that's the only thing right now for me that's keeping me sane up here is the fact that the only reason I've completely lost it on these shows is the fact that I'm literally going to. I'm going through it as, you know what, we just need to be better than 3 other teams each week. If we can be better than 3 other teams each week, we'll be okay. 1 game at a time, that's the only way I can. If I try to go too far into it and go too far down the road, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose the plot. I don't want to do that. I'm just focusing 1 game and be better than 3 teams. That's it.
Fair enough. Right. Well, for the benefit of those that are watching, and I never assume that everybody watching is going to be an expert on the goings on at Southampton. There might be people that are not even experts of the goings on at West Ham United. People sort of come and go, they discover us and they say, oh, what are these two on about? Well, we're talking about West Ham, obviously, and we're going to focus on Southampton. So for those of you, the benefit of those of you that might be interested, this is a little focus on Southampton and the key player that I've chosen for Southampton and the key player that Duke has chosen for West Ham United. So, Duke, press the red button, please, my old son. Yeah, so I've gone for James Ward-Prowse, Duke, who tomorrow will, assuming he plays, which I fully expect him to, will be making his 400th appearance in all competitions for Southampton Football Club. Now, he obviously was the guy that 2 weeks ago got an equaliser that us as West Ham fans would have been quite conflicted in, because obviously on the one hand, it gave Southampton a point from a 3-1 deficit, and you're looking and thinking, that's actually a good result for us in terms of the relegation sort of battle from our point of view, despite the fact it was Tottenham. It's a bit like what you were saying earlier about the Everton sort of fixture as well. It's one of those where you sort of like, you have to force yourself to want Tottenham to get the 3 points sort of thing. And that was the same thing in that match. You know, they were 3-1 down. It looks like the points are heading towards the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And from the relegation West Ham fan, you're going, great, but sort of like that aside, you're sort of going, it's never good when Tottenham get 3 points. Southampton then come flying back. I mean, Kent made the point earlier that Theo Walcott seems to be having something of a renaissance in his career, back end of his career, admittedly. And obviously James Ward-Prowse gets a penalty to get the salvage a point. And the West Ham fan in me was like, great, Tottenham got pegged back. But then I'm like, shit, but they've got a point that, oh, bollocks. Yeah, I'm quite conflicted. Cracking player, though, Duke. Really, really cracking player. Influential. And we need to make sure we don't give away silly free kicks in and around the penalty box, mate, because he will make us pay.
I mean, listen, there was talk, wasn't there, at the end of last season, or January last year, that we were interested in him, and we were interested in Maddison at Leicester. And 50 million quid probably would have been enough to prize either of them away. I actually picked, out of the two, I actually picked Ward-Prowse. I think he's a fantastic player. Scares the crap out of me when he's on the ball from there. As you know, I used to be gobsmacked at Beckham taking free kicks. Just the accuracy and everything else. and Ward-Prowse is just as good, Rob, in my opinion, at the free kicks, at the accuracy and everything else. It takes him a little bit more to get his eye in, if you will, but I think he's a fantastic player, and he can dominate that game tomorrow for them if he sees fit. If he wants to, and there's no one there to stop him, he will dominate that game tomorrow.
Yeah, he's just looking on this one here from Milesy. Yeah, he's back in training from what I understand. The mask is off. Obviously, well, we'll get into the starting 11s in due course, but he's back in training. But for me, I think that if David Moyes immediately at the first opportunity goes back to Lucas Fabianski, I mean, I don't think Areola's done an awful lot wrong. I mean, you could possibly look at maybe the Brighton game, but I don't think anyone covered themselves in any glory there. So scapegoat him would be very unfair.
I mean, listen, I think be all and end all, as far as I'm concerned, anyway. We're in a position because of the tactics, the formation, whatever. It doesn't matter. As you said there, if he decides to jump ship and jump the Areola ship back onto the Fabianski ship, if you will, I'm not going to be impressed with that. Fabianski is too slow in his distribution. We need to be breaking quick tomorrow, and for me, I think Fabianski is a better. I think Fabianski doesn't control his box as well. I've seen a load of rubbish recently that he's the better commander of his 6-yard box, and he comes out for crosses. Not all the time he don't, and sometimes he gets battered around. And I have a feeling after that eye injury and the cheek and everything else, it wouldn't surprise me if Southampton start lumping balls into the box and telling the players to get in and around Fabianski and make him feel uncomfortable. Stick your arms about, put your hands up, get up in his face. For the simple fact is that's what I'd do. If I was in their shoes, that's exactly what I'd do. No, I wouldn't be too pleased if that's what he does.
Yeah. Well, I've done my starting 11. Before we get into that, these, if anyone is interested, are the imbeciles. I mean, officials. Close.
Constantine's back. Love
you
it.
Like him, don't you?
I
Because he's just got one of them names that immediately you go,
I don't. It's him.
It's him. All the other names are sort of like they just sort of blend into the background. But Constantine Hatzidakis, you're a massive fan of. You're a massive fan.
I'm going to seek this man out and get his autograph. I think just for such a great name. I don't care what else he does. He could have a mare tomorrow, and I'd still like his name.
Fair enough. Well, they're the officials for what it's worth. Paul Tierney with the whistle, Duke's mate Constantine and his mate Neil Davies. The fourth official is Anthony Taylor, and the VAR and the assistant VAR are Peter Banks and Simon Bennett, respectively. Right. Okay. So let's have a look at our respective starting 11s then, eh, Duke?
Let's do it.
Okay, so I've got my starting 11. This and I stress this is if I was in charge of West Ham United for the game tomorrow, which I'm not. This isn't what I think David Moyes will pick, which is an entirely different conversation. But if I was picking the team tomorrow, Duke, that is what it would look like, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I would go good old school 4-4-2, meat and potatoes. Two wingers with a little bit of trickery, a little bit of pace, and two forwards, ladies and gentlemen. Who'd have thought it? Now it's not going to happen. We know it's not going to happen, don't we? But this is my 11, and I'll pick the 11 I want to. So here's how it goes, Duke. Areola in goal. His distribution, getting the ball moving forwards is absolutely key for me. Trying to sort of hit them on the counter attack. Now, there's obviously been talk that Emerson has been ill during the week, but David Moyes, I'm very sort of careful at watching the wording, and he said that Emerson had an illness. Well, had is past tense, so he's over it now. He's a professional footballer, so surely he should be able to go out and do a job. So get him out there. I want him up and down that left wing. Vladimir Kufal, he was involved, despite the fact he's been out of the first team for a couple of matches. He was obviously involved for the Czech Republic during the international break. So he's obviously got no fitness issues there. He's got a bit of mileage on the clock there. So stick him in, no problem. I'd certainly rather him, with all due respect, than Tilo Kehrer or Ben Johnson, with regret. Naya Fagerd and Kurt Zuma would be my centre-back partnership. Declan Rice in the middle of the park with the armband isn't really a shock, but the person that's next to him might be for some. I would put Manuel Lanzini there. I think he would be absolutely critical for playing the killer pass, the key pass to the players making the runs ahead of him. So that, and those players for me are going to be on the left. Maxwell Cornet, yes, I know he was caught offside a couple of times, guys, but in that little cameo, I saw enough that I thought he can give an opposition fullback, centre back, an awful hard time with his pace and directness. So I would have him in there, no problem at all. I'd actually shift Ben Rama over to the right because I know he's played on the left virtually his entire West Ham career, but I did see him play on the right. Last season's game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, he played on the right and he was far and away our best player. So I've got no problem putting him on that side. I think he would be, he'd be a weapon over there just as much as he would be on the left-hand side. You could interchange them during the game and keep changing the questions that you're asking the opposition fullbacks. That's not a problem at all, but that would be my default position. And then up front, 2 goals against Larnaca. Yeah, it's not much of an opposition, but in our last game, he got 2 goals. So I would put Jared Bowen as a striker, and I would partner him with Danny Ings initially. Now, I would therefore leave Gianluca Scamacca as a bench player, but I would be looking to involve him in the second half. And no, I would not be bringing him on in around about the 75th minute. I would be looking that if things need to be shaken up, if maybe even making the substitution at half time, if things aren't going to plan, maybe sort of giving it 10 minutes into the second half, but probably not much more than that. I'd also be looking to involve players like maybe Michail Antonio again for a little bit more pace and directness. Whether I'd put him on the wing or whether I'd play him up top, who knows it? But that would be my formation and my 11, Dukes. And now it's over to you.
Well, I see where you're coming from. I get it. I fully understand it. I don't agree with it, but I get it. And I do get it. I really do. But I'm at a situation now where certain things are not working, and it comes down to Moyes. What I want to see is I want to see a lineup that says, you know what? Yes, we're going to concede goals. That's just part and parcel fact of what we do as West Ham, right? It's what we do. It's a nuisance, but we're going to concede goals. Now, what I will say is that we got to score more goals than we're conceding, right? It's so cliche, it's so shit, but it's so obvious that that is the case. Now, as far as I'm concerned,
cheers, Joseph.
We just need to get one more. Give me a second, Rob. Something's happened. Hang on.
Oh no!
Be back. No, it only take me 2 seconds.
Someone they've run out of cheese and onion crisps at the Lewisham Tavern. Right? Okay. Let's just go through a few of these. Joseph, thank you. I don't know why I'm calling you Joseph. It's because you've got the sort of like. So I'm going sort of like Russian. Joseph. Thank you, Joseph. I'm glad you approve. And True Cockney as well. He says that he likes the team. I mean, look, obviously I like the team because I'm the one that selected it. And to be honest with you, certain players pick themselves. Declan Rice is a given. I know people have criticised him this season. Is he the right man to be the captaincy? You could have that discussion, but he's still been one of our best players. Anyway, sorry, Duke.
No. Sorry, I had to run off and do something for the pub.
That's right.
I'm actually going to agree with Gary on what Gary's put, and go just go all out. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
You do that when you've got the ball and you're deep in the opposition half.
No, see, what I was going to say is I'd actually, again, I've been looking up, tactics, formations of managers that have been linked with us. I've spent a little bit of time doing it. And you and I have had this discussion on when he ate your mouth the other day. We've got to transition quicker. We've got to transition. We need to be making the transitions from defence to attack, and putting more people in an attacking position. As far as I'm concerned, we're not quick enough at doing it. We're not putting out a team that, when we've got possession in our half, that all of a sudden we're turning it into a 4 or a 5 man forward line. That's the problem. It's not happening. And for that reason, what I've started what I've started to see and want as I've looked into other management styles, tactics, etc. is I actually want to see a 4-3-3 tomorrow, but I don't want to see a wide 4-3-3. I don't want to see a 4-3-3 where you've got a narrow midfield and you've got a left and right forward. You know, they're playing their trade out on the left and right wings, if you will. They're kind of here, and then your three midfielders are here. I don't want to see that. What I actually want to see is the two wider players being the midfielders, i.e., okay, let me do it. So Areola in goal, your back four. I'll be honest with you, I really don't give two shits who plays left and right back tomorrow. I don't care.
You'd put Kara there?
It wouldn't matter to me right now because we need to be scoring goals against them tomorrow, mate. It's quite simple. We're going to concede, but we need to score.
Jesus.
So I don't care who goes. I mean, when I say I don't care, I don't want to see Ben Rama at right back. That's not what I'm getting.
4 nails at centre back.
Yeah. But then I'd actually go Declan Rice as the one sitting in midfield. The two wider midfield players, I'd actually go Cornet and I'd go Bowen.
Okay.
Right. Then getting further forward, I'd actually go all three strikers.
Ings, Skamaka, and Antonio.
I'd actually go all three. And I'd have Skamaka at the point of the sword. So the two wider players can ping balls in. Skamaka wins those headers. And then you've got someone like Ings, you've got someone like Antonio. Antonio's going to bully tomorrow, Rob, if he plays. Antonio, I think their centre-backs are Kaletakar and Bednarak. Right? If that's the case, then Antonio bullies the pair of them, bullies the shit out of them. But I'd play all three. I'd play all three strikers tomorrow, and I'd play them so close that if Antonio reached out his right arm, he's tickling the left ear of Skamaka. And if Ings reached out his left arm, he's tickling the right ear of Skamaka. That's how close I'd have them playing. I'd have them in and around each other. But then what I'd do is when we're out of possession is I'd say to Antonio, to Ings, you need to drop in just a little bit deeper. The two boys that are going to be wide in Bowen and Cornet to come in and play alongside Declan Rice to create a narrower 4-3-3 when out of possession. In possession, I'd actually go and put the two wide people in the midfield area, as in Bowen and Cornet. I'd have them wider when we're on attack, and I'd have the narrower forward line. Problem is, when we play a 4-3-3, which we've seen recently, and we have seen it recently, we don't get the support in and around the striker, and that I feel is a concern for me. We don't get support in and around the strikers themselves. They're lonely. You've got players so far out on the wing, be it Benny, be it Cornet, be it Bowen on the other side. They're so far apart that you could drive a bus or six between the front three. They need to be closer because when we're winning the ball higher up the pitch, we're not having any benefit from it because players are too far apart from each other. They're not close enough.
Fair enough. Milesy saying he'd go a 3-5-2 formation. I've got to be honest, I've always liked 3-5-2. If you've got the right players, but that's the key thing.
But there's your problem. We don't.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because you need fullbacks. The thing is, in a 3-5-2 formation, your fullbacks are going to be the ones that are going to be doing the most mileage. They're going to be up and down that touch line.
But then that also comes into what I was saying about Michael Carrick, Rob. Michael Carrick plays a very similar formation when in possession. and it's very fluid, and the left back becomes a centre back, and the right centre back becomes a left centre back, and the left centre back becomes the right back, or whatever, however it works, and then the right back becomes a right winger. And then they go from being a 4-2-3-1, which is something that we very much play ourselves in possession. When they get into possession, they become literally a 3-2-5. They have 5 men all the way up the top of the pitch, and it's fluid and it's quick, and they transition very quickly from front to back. And then they've got the press, they've got the players up there to receive the ball. They have like 5 strikers, or 5 forwards. The problem is we don't have the players that can fluidly move into those positions. Let's have a look. Southampton? No. He's not going to become a right winger. The can't cross, and he can't shoot, right? So forget that. Let's leave that alone. So then do we go the other side? We can go the other side, yes, because Palmieri can get up and down the pitch. He can do that job. So then if we've got Carrick, we work it out to the left side rather than the right. Okay, great. But then what do we do? We're not, you can ask if put Johnson at right back then, because Johnson can slide into a back 3 when we're in possession and going forward. Emerson will be the other winger. And you end up with Rice and Paqueta. Mm-hmm. Paqueta can get forward. Emerson gets forward, and all of a sudden you have that bigger group going forward. But again, you need the fluidity to be able to do this. And unfortunately, as I saw on, I think it might have been Twitter, it might have been the 24-hour stream over on Network. It's all blended into one. That Moyes takes 20, 30, 40 million pound high performance sports stars and turns them into workhorses. That's it.
He did it with Fornals, didn't he?
I was about to say, we see it with Fornals. Fornals, when we bought him, was a absolutely blinding kind of playmaker type playing for the Spanish under-21s. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't Moyes that signed him, but it's Moyes that's changed his playing style.
Massive.
So we don't have that fluidity. And if we have Carrick come in, there's going to have to be some money spent on speedier, more natural players rather than the workhorses we now have. And I think that's the sad thing. I mean, True Cockney's put there about seeing my point with the players up front, but he'd like to see Mubama start, which is great. I mean, I'd start Scamacca, and then of the others, you can James, well done last night, mate. You start Scamacca, and then you can interchange Mubama with the other 2. Again, he's a very physical player. Listening to Mark over on Network before we went live, he was talking about Mubama being there at like 8 o'clock in the morning, 20 past 8.
Good work ethic.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. So, listen, at the end of the day, we just need to get players closer to each other on the pitch. I think that's our problem right now. We isolate the strikers, we isolate the wingers. We're not quick enough in transition. But for me, 4-3-3, but with all 3 strikers being closer enough to each other that they can touch each other as they're running.
Here's the $1 million question, though, Duke. You make a compelling argument, and I still believe that my 4-4-2 and my personnel is still my preferred option. But you've made your case very eloquently, and I can sort of go, okay, look, I don't agree, but I can absolutely see where you're coming from, and it has merit. How confident are you, especially on the basis of what we've heard in the last 2 weeks coming out of Rush Green? How confident are you that this plan, either yours or mine, or any sort of plan,
there isn't a plan?
Are you confident?
No, there isn't a plan, Rob.
That's
It's my
where
way
I'm
or
at.
the highway. It's literally is my. Listen, there's no point in having the likes of Nolan, Nevin, any of the other guys sitting on that bench. There's no point in having these guys rock up at Rush Green on a weekly basis because they don't do nothing, Rob. Let me rephrase that. They can't do anything, Rob.
They're not allowed to.
Basically they just turn up. As far as I'm concerned, and the way I actually see it is, I can guarantee you that Kevin Nolan is told to go get the bibs out of the changing rooms, and Nevin is told, "I tell you what, you go get the balls, collect them up, put them in the bags, get ready." They're not there for any coaching tips or any advice to Moyes. They're not there for that. They're just there to make up numbers, as far as I'm concerned. Moyes is and will be the only voice that will be heard, and it makes no difference. You can see it, I can see it.
Yeah.
The 9 people in the chat can see it. You
Stevie
guys are
Wonder
talking
can
about it.
fucking see it.
He can see it and he knows it, but he don't care, Rob.
Mm.
He does not give two monkeys, that man. So am I confident that what you see and what I see
Just
as,
got to make this point.
yeah, don't want to be known as only scoring from set pieces.
No, so
Well, no, we're now known as not scoring at all. Yeah,
Right.
We're not going to see anything different to what we've seen.
No.
It doesn't matter whether it's going to be a 4-3-3, a 4-4-2, a 4-3-1-2, a 4-2-3-1, a 4-6. It doesn't matter.
No.
Because, as I've said it before, the Brighton game. If he comes out with a mindset of sitting deep, let them get 15 yards into our half before we even engage, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You could have the world's best team. Mate, you could have the Galacticos. Yeah, I'll tell you now, he could have managed the Real Madrid sides of the early 2000s. The Beckhams, the Figos, the Zidans. He could have, and they would have been shit because he wouldn't have let you attack. You would have had to have sit. You would have had to have waited for them to come to you rather than, asking the questions of the opposition. That's what we don't do. We don't ask them questions. We allow them to dictate what we do. And unfortunately, until Moyes goes, I don't see it being any different.
Do you know something? And there was something I was listening to. I think it was on Talk Sport. It was Tim Sherwood. That was it. Because there was something on Talk Sport, and they were talking about, how the terminology of a lot of things have changed down the years, and you've got now people sort of talk about, gegenpressing and low block and all these terminologies, and all it is, it's stuff that it's not any new invention. It's just a sort of a reboot of a yeah. Tim Sherwood said on Talk Sport about. And sort of like he said, the terminology and all that, it's just a load of old bollocks, really. And he turned around and said about when he was playing, he said one of the hardest working players for one of the best teams of that era, Liverpool, was Ian Rush. Ian Rush was like, putting pressure on opposition defenders, trying to win. And you know what? There was a light bulb moment. And I'm like, do you know what? I don't know who it was. But and it might have been Mark Ward. One of the ex-West Ham players said exactly the same thing about Ian Rush. Said he was the player that in a dominant Liverpool team of the 80s, when the opposition had the ball, he was harrying, harassing, trying to win that ball back as far.
Go back and watch the highlights, Rob.
And we're a million miles away from that.
Yeah, go back and watch the highlights of Liverpool games on YouTube. You'll find them. The same way that when we were doing Hammer Time. You can find all of this stuff. It's there. It's all right. It's not great footage. It's not 4K and Ultra HD nowadays, but you can still get the general gist of. You probably see him. We can see his tash running around more than anything else. But that's what he did. If you watch those great Liverpool sides, the forward set of players didn't let up, didn't back down. They chased everything, and I only think I only
Probably.
think it's the last 6 or 7 years that's really changed. The pressing. I mean, listen, Arsenal do it very well at the moment. If you watch Arsenal, and Andy, you'll be watching them later. If you watch Arsenal, they press really high. They put pressure the moment that they lose possession. The player that loses possession is kind of incensed that he's lost possession, hates the fact that, shit, I'm going to get a bollock in that. I've got to go get that ball back. And they start, Arsenal, again, watch it later. Arsenal hunt in packs. They actually hunt in packs. 2, 3, 4 players. And they will envelop the 2 or 3
That's
players
what
that have
should
got the
happen.
ball. And they've got no out ball, Rob. And they either lose possession, they kick the ball out of play, they do whatever it is that they do. And it's amazing. It's amazing to watch. I've got some significant time for that style of football. I love that style of football because what's the phrase? The best form of defense is a good offense. Closing them down that high up the pitch. Don't give them 5 seconds to think. We give them all day. We don't even bother trying to get near them in their half. This is our massive issue. We had all the information. I put it up donkeys ago, didn't I? Where
Well,
it
I said
shows.
after the first game of this season, if you remember correctly.
Yeah,
After the
you
Man
did
City
against
game,
Man City, wasn't it? Yeah.
the pressing from the front just was not
Wasn't
there.
there? And it
And I got
hasn't been
told
there
it's
since, Rob.
hot, it's Man City, it's the
Yeah,
first game
no,
of
and
the
I
season,
was
blah,
one
blah,
of
blah.
those.
And I was like, no, I'm watching it with my own eyes, and this is fundamentally something's wrong. Match one.
Yeah, no, and I argued the toss with you that I felt it was hot. It was, it's Man City. I gave you those arguments myself. They came out of my mouth. Go back and watch the review, people. You'll see that I will admit that was me. And then, unfortunately, it's continued. I mean, I could have forgiven one game. Could have forgiven 2 games, maybe. But the fact that we've done it over and over again, and as Andy says there, we do have the players. We do have the players. Not being funny. These are well, listen, I tell you what, I mentioned it earlier, turning elite sportsmen into workhorses. These are elite sportsmen that we have, all Premier League players, and I don't care if they're very good or not. Okay, they're still elite sportsmen, and everyone says that, you know what, you should be able to play 2 games in a week because well, you should. Yes, you should.
Yeah,
I'm not asking you to run 6 marathons in 7 days. I'm asking you to run around for 90 minutes, which would probably equate to about 6 miles, maybe 7 miles. If you all did it, if one person does it, he's probably running 11. Yeah. Whereas if you all press at the same time, you're probably running. But I'll tell you what, I'll be less. I'll go 9 miles. So you're asking these people to run 9 miles twice in 7 days. It's not. I don't think that's harsh. I don't think that's wrong to expect that from someone. I think, as I say, an elite sportsman. Don't ask me to do it. I'm fucking 22 stone. I ain't going to be able to run 9 miles over the course of 1 week, let alone twice in a week, right? But these are elite sportsmen. They should be able to be running
massively,
constantly.
And I think, I mean, sort of like, listen, you know my thoughts on Moyes, and everybody watching probably knows my thoughts on Moyes as where we are right now. But one thing I will say is I do think that the players are kind of getting a little bit of a free pass. I think that Moyes is taking most of the heat as the manager, and look, rightly so. But I do think that some of the players are going out and not giving their all. Now, okay, I know you could turn around and say, but that comes from a manager that's not motivating them, blah, 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 blah. But surely there comes a little bit of a point where as a professional player, and these players are all internationals. Yep. A lot of them have played Champions League football. We've got one, in there that's £100 million plus player, apparently. We shouldn't be in this position. We really shouldn't. The other thing also is all this bollocks about, 2 games in a week or 3 games in a week. If you talk to any player, any former player, they will tell you, especially sort of like go back to the sort of like the old days when they were playing on mud bath pitches, the boots were heavier, the balls were heavier. The diet and all the rest of it wasn't as good as it is now. Yet they all turn around and say, when a player turns around and says that they're tired, it's a load of because when you're winning games, you don't feel tired. When you win games, you want the next game to come round tomorrow. You can't wait for the next
you can't
game.
wait to get
So
going
when
again.
when you're turning around and saying, "Oh, I'm tired," it's probably because you're getting beat.
I mean, Peter's comment there about some people thinking that players are better than they are and taking off the claret and blue glasses. I get where he's coming from to a certain degree. But I put that down to certain performances. Their performances have been shit. They're still quality players. They're still fantastic players. Rob was actually there when they stopped World War II in the trenches to play football.
I was reffing it.
Yeah. These
It
players
was my
are still.
ball. I never got it back.
These players are still quality players. They're top draw players. Just because, I mean, proof in the pudding is going to be Sebastian Haller for me, right? He's an amazing goal scorer. He is. He proved that when he went to Ajax. He was the top goal scorer in Europe. For fuck's sake, right? He was outscoring Benzema and the rest of them, right? Haaland. He was outscoring these guys.
Yep.
But we didn't use him right. Doesn't make him a bad player.
Nope.
Doesn't mean that I've got claret and blue glasses on. He's still a great player. We're just not using him right.
Agreed.
Scamacca is a fantastic striker, but he plays in a 4-4-2. He had Raspadori with him up front, if I remember rightly.
Well, he had Raspadori. I think it was a 4-4-2, 4-3-3.
4-3-3, wasn't it? Yeah. You can't tell me that these players are shit. Paqueta. Lucas Paqueta is a fantastic player. Fantastic player. Amazing player. Guess what? When you use him right and you play him in the right position.
Well, he
And
wasn't
you
doing
ask him
that
to
before the World Cup, was he?
Right. And you ask him to do the job that he is good at doing, then you're going to get the best out of him. If you don't, you're not going to. Doesn't mean he's a shit player. It just means we're not using him right. It's like saying, let's go. I'll tell you what, I'm going to go really extreme for one example. Really extreme for one example. It's like saying to Fabianski, go play up front. Right? Doesn't mean he's a shit goalkeeper because he can't score goals. Just means you're not using him right. Don't get me wrong.
Did that, didn't he? Up against Arsenal, I remember he played up front. The late Les Seeley.
He did. I remember that. I think he nearly scored and all. I think, if my memory serves.
Maybe that's where we're missing out. Maybe we should try Fabianski as a number 9. That's our tactical master plan there, ladies and gentlemen. Play Fabianski as the striker.
It's just the way it is, Rob. It's you bring a new manager in with new ideas. I'm not being funny. If you'd said to Arsenal fans at the start of the season about Balogun, Reims,
yep,
probably wouldn't have seen him as the player that he currently is in France at the moment. Yet he's banging goals in, and I guarantee you there's a lot of Arsenal fans going, hang on, what's going on over there? Excuse me, can we have him back, please? I guarantee you, but they wouldn't have given him a second thought at the start of the season when they got Jesus and obviously Saka playing like his. I'm not being funny, I mentioned Nketiah at the start of the season.
You did.
About bringing him in, and people went, no, I don't fucking want him. And then Jesus went out and he continued that goal scoring run of so many starts and so many goals. I rest my case. I still want Eddie Nketiah.
He's local to you, you know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
he's a Lucian.
And I tell you what, he's got a good head on his shoulders because he knows he's not the best. He knows he's not this sort of standout. But when he gets his chance, he goes and he tries to grab it with both hands. Maybe he doesn't know he probably does know he's not going to be there when Jesus comes back and he's fully fit. Go on, the under 18.
Come on.
Is it on YouTube anywhere? Is this?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but I'll tell you what, because we only need a point, don't we?
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, that would be brilliant. I mean, and they deserve it, absolutely deserve it. And if we can get that title wrapped up before we go into that semi-final, we can just sort of concentrate then on the FA Cup completely. But yeah,
Get it out of the way, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, they're not showing it. They're not showing it. Brilliant. Hey, Beck.
Oh, no. Hang on. Oh, no, that's a month ago against Brighton. Right, that's not. It just come up. Well, West Ham versus Brighton, Premier League 2 live match. And I was like, oh, no, not that one.
No. Let's get into the score predictions then.
Yeah, because...
You were rabbiting away there.
Just you cut me off. I mean, it's just fucking rude, Rob. It's just fucking rude.
Sorry, mate.
No, I was going to say I've got to wrap it up because I've got to get downstairs. So I've got to be. We obviously you got a big
you guys
game
in the live chat getting.
Got a big game kicking off in an hour. You got Liverpool, Man City. So yeah.
Right, score prediction. We can't lose this, dude. We can't even draw this, can we?
Yes.
Oh,
we
fuck
can.
off.
No, we can. I said earlier. Listen, there's eight teams are playing. 4 are playing against each other, or 6 are playing against each other, including us against Southampton. So 6 are playing against each other. We have to get a better result than 3 of them, right? That's it, Rob. So if we draw against Southampton, that's one team we've got the same result against. Yeah,
but we've got to do that for 11 matches, though, or 12 matches, dude.
Mate, one game at a time. Stop going too far down the road because you'll go fucking mad. Trust me. You'll go mad. It literally has to be one day at a time, one game. Take tomorrow's game as is tomorrow's game. If we get the win, we get the win. If we get a draw and other teams around us lose, okay, there it is. We've done better. Friday. Yeah. Oh, yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
Friday,
Wednesday. And the draw from 3-1 down.
3-1 down against Spuds. Wednesday against Newcastle. Yeah, that's a separate game. We'll worry about that when we get down that road. But let's focus. Listen, a result that's better than 3 of our rivals. Job done. So we can draw it. We can. And it not be the end of the world.
Do you know what would frustrate me? If we got a point, but it was fairly obvious that we were going for it and we were the better team and their goalkeeper was having a worldie and we hit the bar, hit the post. David Moyes makes the right changes from the bench at the right time. If that happened, Duke, if we got a point, I'd go, it just wasn't our day, but hey, we take the point, we wipe our mouth and we go again. If it's a point like we got against Chelsea, Newcastle and Villa, 3 games that have taken place in the recent month or two, where, in my humble opinion, there was an extra 2 points each of those games that were up for grabs. If the manager had a little bit more courage about him, there was an extra 2 points in each of those games. That's 6 points. Now, that 6 points would hurtle us up the table.
Of course it would.
But he didn't go for any of them. None. And that's my concern. That's my concern, that I'm going to come away from the game tomorrow, possibly with a point, looking at it as, well, that's another 2 points that we've frittered away. And you can't keep doing that. You can't. Not in a relegation battle. I know there's all this bullshit about respect the point. At some point or other, Duke, you've got to roll the dice and you've got to take a risk. It's a risk and reward business.
Yeah.
You can't get reward without taking risk. And that's where we are.
I mean, listen, I'm just having a quick look here. If we get the win tomorrow, right? Mm-hmm. If puts us on 27 points. If Wolves and Forest draw, puts Wolves on 28, puts Forest on 27, but we'll go above Forest on goal difference. Right? Palace have got... Oh, have Palace got Villa? Is it Palace Villa? Who Palace got? Palace have got Leicester. Sorry.
Yep.
So Palace, Leicester. If they draw, Leicester go on to 26 points. Palace go on to 28. we can actually go up to 14th if the other results go in our favour. So if we beat Southampton, Bournemouth lose, we win, Leicester draw, Forest draw, Everton lose on Monday to the Spuds. Leeds have got Arsenal. So again, if they lose, or even to a degree a draw, we go above them on goal difference anyway. So we could actually be 14th, 27 points. You'll have Bournemouth and Southampton on 23 and 24, which doesn't quite relegate them, but puts some significant distance between the others. And then you've got Leicester will be on 25, or even a draw 26. So we can get ourselves out. A win tomorrow, and we can pull away from that bottom two and create a gap. Then it comes down to, okay, very much one team out of 7 for that.
But what's your score prediction?
I would prefer the odds of 1 out of 7 in our favour than 3 out of 9.
But so what is your score prediction, though, about that being said?
3-0.
So it's not going to be a draw then.
No, but what I'm saying is it can be. It's not the end of the world if it's a draw. I actually do think if we show up and we do, we'll be fine. And if we want to win tomorrow, my key player, just quickly going back to the lineup, would be Declan Rice. And that's because I want to see Declan Rice perform like he did for England over the 2 games, against Italy and Ukraine. I want to see that Declan Rice. We haven't seen that Declan Rice this season in a West Ham shirt. Really fucking annoys me that we haven't seen that Declan Rice in a West Ham shirt this season. But if Declan Rice decides, you know what, here we go, scruff of the neck, come on, we're going, it's a whole different game for us. Declan Rice should dominate that game tomorrow, can dominate that game tomorrow. If he does, hey, big man, hope you enjoyed your present. Hope it's pride of place in Mikasa. I honestly think we rock up tomorrow. We want to turn up and we want to win tomorrow. We'll take them apart.
I don't think it's going to be as comfortable as 3-0. I have got this sort of this pattern in my head of West Ham taking a 2-0 lead at half time or by half time. Southampton coming out strong in the second half and getting a goal that reduces the arrears, and that there will be moments from there on in that will be quite nervy, but then in about the last sort of like quarter of the match, that some way, somehow we fashion a third goal and then we just sort of like see the game out. I'm going 3-1.
Take it.
Yeah, definitely. Steve, on the other hand, he says 1-1.
I'll take that as well, as long as the other results go in our favour.
But he makes the point it should be 3-0. So, True Cockney's come in and he says, hopefully we win 2-0. But like I said, worried we will lose. I think we're all in that boat, mate. But and exactly, I made that point a little bit earlier. With James Ward-Prowse in the Southampton ranks, any cheap free kicks in and around the penalty box will be punished.
Do you think that they will play for those?
What, free kicks?
Yeah.
Of course.
Do you reckon they'll throw themselves to the floor a bit easier?
100%.
Need a strong referee then.
Yeah. So instead, we've got this fella. Just to remind everybody.
I want Constantine in.
He's only waving the fucking flag. If it's over the other side,
I want Constantine in a match refereeing role before the end of the season. I reckon he's got all of the talent to be.
You reckon he's the dude?
Yeah, listen, he's just got a great name. I couldn't give a shit about anything else.
You do realise that he's only got one eye.
Listen, as long as he can see well with that one eye, it doesn't matter. And as long as it's the one eye that misses the the penalty that we give away and accidentally sees a penalty that's in our favour, it's all good.
Fair. Right, you've obviously got to go about your duty.
I have. I've got Liverpool, Man City to go and serve. Huh?
Any final thoughts before we depart?
No, literally, guys. We've got 5 hours 19 minutes with the guys over on Network. They're going to be doing some watch alongs. I think they're doing like a soccer Saturday malarkey. At the moment over there, you've got Jake from West Ham Unofficial doing a little takeover. He's got Frankel on there, fuck's sake, poor bastard. And he's got Kieran and Gary. So pop over there, give them some support. It's for the Iron supporting food banks. We know what that's all about. I'm not going to belabor the facts on that one, but give them some support. I believe Andy said he was picking up the Arsenal Leeds game. Was he, Rob?
From memory, I
think they're watching our relegation rivals. I think that's what they're doing. They're doing like a soccer Saturday of our rivals. So get over there, give them some support, guys. It's for a great charity. Rob last night did the big debate over there, didn't you, with James, Jazz, and JP and Sean.
Sean
I actually like Sean. I actually agreed a hell of a lot.
First time I've interacted with him on a stream, actually.
Yeah, no, I thought he spoke a lot of sense. There was a lot of seemed to be a lot of kind of niggly comments in the chat.
Yeah,
about him being a mouthpiece and stuff like that, which I thought he came across really well. I actually think he actually put some points across that made more sense than the others at times, and then the others put some points across that I agreed with as well. It wasn't. I'm not saying that I didn't agree with James, Jazz, and JP at all. I mean, there were points where I thought they were in the wrong. And Sean was correct, and vice versa.
Yeah.
But it was a good show.
With everyone, are you? I mean, I don't agree with everything you say, and you don't agree with everything I say. But it was a good
show, and you did well. I mean, they were some. They are polarizing characters, all four of them. They hold their own opinions, very strongly. So there was always going to be some of that back and forth. But I thought I was gutted I couldn't be there. Obviously, I was having to work and stuff. But I thought you held yourself really. You held it together really well. So as I say, guys, get over and give them some support.
Yeah, well, as I say, it's in the pinned comments, guys. So before you go, if you can at least drop a few quid in the tin, as I say, it's in the pinned comments on YouTube. It really would help, and it's also in the description section below the video if you're watching it. So there's no way you can miss it. Click on the Just Giving link for the Iron Supporting Food Bank charity. And as I say, just remember that it's for people in our own community. We as a West Ham club, we like to pride ourselves on family values and being a family club and all the rest of it. Well, let's try and help some of that family, shall we? We're sort of in a good position where we can do it. We've got a few quid in our pocket. Yes, times are tough, but you know what? There's people out there that got it an awful lot tougher than the rest of us. So let's try and do our best to help them, guys.
I'm actually going to be doing some bits over the weekend in the pub downstairs. I don't know if you guys know the old bus stop cards where you pick a football team and then scratch off the foil. I've got about 10 of those downstairs, so I'm going to do. I'm going to do a couple of them so I can raise, maybe 40, 60 quid that I can chuck in from here. What I will say, guys, just before I shoot off, and Rob, this is, this, but I think this might come as a little bit of surprise that I'm announcing something.
Okay.
Me and Rob are going to try and branch out into something different coming up. We're going to use my pub as a base for it. I'm not going to give any names or anything that we're trying to get sorted, but I'm not doing that yet. But as you know, we've interviewed a few former players via the show on here doing the YouTube stuff. Me and Rob are going to try and do something where we use. Can we not with the sirens, please?
It's Lewisham. What were you expecting?
Well, considering what I'm about to say, we got sirens, doesn't really help me. We're going to be trying to get some former players into the pub to do a couple of live Q&As here. So keep your eyes out. Forge from Iron presents and all that malarkey. So it is something we're looking to branch out on. So if you are local,
am I going to have to wear a dicky bow? We haven't
really
discussed
wonder what you were going to say then. Really wonder what you were going to say.
Discussed the sort of like, are we going to have to sort of?
No, we're not going
Really?
that far. No.
Oh.
You can if you want and look like a Muppet. That's entirely up to you. But
penguin, not a Muppet. They're different.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I was going to say something else. Yeah. So keep an eye on that, guys. We will obviously announce it as we go. And Haaland is not in the squad against Liverpool.
He's not.
He's
not.
I
did wonder.
Oh, Rob, did you like what I sent you last night? That Mo, since signing for Liverpool.
Yeah.
Since signing for Liverpool, Mo Salah has more yellow cards for taking his shirt off, celebrating goals that he scored against Manchester United than Manchester United have goals scored at Anfield. I just think that's amazing. I think that's absolutely brilliant. I'm going to leave it there.
On that, we will depart. And as I say, help out the Iron Supporting Food Banks charity. And also, please don't forget, as we always ask you to do, to like, comment on and share the stream to your social media platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. And make sure you hit the bell icon for alerts on new content. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you very much indeed for your support. He's Duke. I'm Gatesy. We're going to disappear and start our weekend. We're Falls from Iron. Thanks for joining us. And we will reconvene on Monday, I do believe, Duke. Is that right?
Yes, Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah, crazy, isn't it? Anyway, look after yourselves, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
That's the wrong button. I meant to press this one. Forged from Iron is proud to support Iron Supporting Food Banks. They are a group of West Ham United fans and friends inspired by the work of other football fan food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations from Newham Food Bank in Beckton, who supply 7 distribution centres in the borough, 7 days a week, and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children in the Newham community. They are supported in their efforts by West Ham United Football Club, the WHU Foundation, LS185, London Legacy Development Corporation, Newham Council, the Met Police, Spire London East Hospital, Expedient Security, and a large number of West Ham and football fans. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page. You will find the link to this in the description section of the video details in this stream. Thank you for your support. Come on, you Irons.